Hello there everyone and welcome, it is Niran here, and today it's time for me to bring you a little bit, well, something even, a little bit more different. I don't know, my words have failed me there. Anyway, whatever the circumstance today, we have got the top 10 things that we would all like to see in the journey for FIFA 18. Now, for those that were somehow living under some sort of rock from September of 2016 to this precise moment, the journey is obviously a new game mode, basically a story mode that was added to FIFA 17, the type of story mode that you tend to see in NBA games, and it was a welcome addition because we haven't seen too much innovation going into offline modes recently, and this was a whole new story mode, a whole new game mode implemented into FIFA, and it was quite good at first. Well, it was very good at first, and then it got a little bit stale because the storyline's kind of the same, but it also had a few little holes within it, which is natural because it was obviously EA's first attempt at something like this. So today I'm basically drawing up a 10-item wish list of things that I think we would all like to see in the journey for the next edition of FIFA. Now, if you do go on to enjoy the video, of course, feel free to smash the likes button. 100 likes would be fantastic on this video, and make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel, and maybe leave a comment on things that you would like to see in the journey for FIFA 18 if they're not included in this video. But the first thing for me, international caps and international appearances. It was something that was very much hinted to. Right, okay, spoiler alert, if you haven't finished the journey, don't listen now. I've given you a chance to pause the video by purely waffling. It was something that was hinted to, was international caps at the end of the journey in terms of the storyline, depending on what ending you got. I think there was 2 endings to the journey. I never got to the end of the journey, to be fair, but I heard there was 2 endings. One of them, I think, revolved around you getting called up for the England squad for the World Cup. So, or the Euros, I think, actually, it would have been. So, yeah, now this is something that I would like to see, because obviously you get the hint, you get the little tease at the end, but you don't actually get to play for the national team. So obviously what would be great to see for the journey in FIFA 18 is that if you perform well on the pitch, if you're actually outperforming other English players or whatever nationality you happen to be, which I'll get onto in a moment, you can actually be called up for your national team and play in international competitions, and get maybe a storyline behind that as well that's potentially predetermined. But that would be just so cool to see, you know, Alex Hunter or maybe a customizable character playing for their country. Now, I alluded to customization. Obviously on FIFA 17 you can only be Alex Hunter. I think the main thing that everyone was crying out for as soon as this news broke that we were going to have to play as Alex Hunter was player customization. That's what everyone wanted, and I'd love to see that in FIFA 18 as well. I don't feel as if it's something that's completely impossible, because it is done, as I said, in storylines from NBA and such, like, you know, different companies. It is something that I imagine is very difficult to implement, that your face could transfer into every single cutscene that is implemented into the game mode. I do understand that, and I get the fact that EA probably couldn't do that on their first attempt. But now they've had some experience, now they've got some time to properly make the game mode better instead of its fundamental creation. They could potentially implement stuff like customization into the story mode, so you're actually playing, you know, you're using yourself. You know, there's the personal element to a game save instead of just using a character that's made up for you. On top of that, another thing that everyone sort of asked about when the game mode was initially announced was how long the journey was going to be. And this is a difficult one, because I can imagine the amount of work and time that goes into creating one season of the journey, but what would be lovely is if we could get multi-seasons. That would be so cool. Even if the level of intensity of cutscenes actually dies down after the first season, even if the main storyline is the first season, it would be great to actually then develop the story and develop the journey into future seasons, you know, where you've built the groundwork in the first season, and you can move to doing whatever you want to do and becoming a club legend for whatever team you decided to start with. Stuff like that, and that would be great instead of it just being limited to one season. And plus then, it makes it easier for you to be a legend for your international team as well. Number 4, we're going to move on to being able to play in more teams and leagues. First of all, though, we're going to be able to talk about leagues. What would be, you know, great is if we could sign for, like, flipping Barcelona, or start in the Spanish league, or start in the German league, or start in the French league and be of a different nationality or whatever. I do realise that I think the reason why the journey is based in the EPL is because of the licensing that the Premier League has, but I'm sure there'd be some sort of way to implement the fact that it can happen in other leagues as well. Plus the fact that there's now the different languages that was added as DLC to the journey on FIFA 17. If you're Spanish and you want to play in the Spanish league, you've got the fact that there's different languages on the game anyway. You can play in Spain and you can have the game mode in Spanish. It's absolutely fine. That would be great. Or you could maybe transfer to a team in a different league as you go along. Now that's the fifth thing that I wanted to talk about, was the fact that you'd then be able to join different teams. This is now number 5. This is point number 5 that we'd love to see in FIFA 18. The journey is that you can move to different teams. The previous point being you could start in different leagues, but this point is maybe even if it's restricted to one league still, you can actually transfer from, say, Liverpool, where you started out, to then signing for Manchester City or something and doing a Raheem Sterling, whatever, but just being able to transfer and having different transfer sagas as well. That would open up a massive can of worms when it comes to cutscenes as well. You could get all sorts of different cutscenes if you're having a transfer saga or you're involved in one with your manager, your teammates maybe falling out of love with you or whatever, like what happens with Gareth Walker during the actual journey on FIFA 17. If there's some sort of transfer saga involved, maybe being able to hand in transfer requests or whatever, again, adds to the journey, adds to the storyline, and it's something that obviously wasn't in FIFA 17 that I think people would quite like to see in the next edition. After that, point number 6, different consequences for being a hot-headed or cool character. At the moment, I think it just changes the ending, as far as I'm aware, but it would be lovely to have a proper consequences if you're too hot-headed or too egotistical in your interviews. Maybe your manager is a slightly more cool character and you're being really hot-headed in your interviews. He's actually going to drop you for being a dickhead, basically. That'd be quite cool. Instead of it just I don't really feel as if it changes anything along the lines of the career mode apart from potentially the ending, but it would be great if it actually changed things across the entirety of the story mode as well, not just how things end. Point 7 is different choices for sponsorship, because at the moment you have to be sponsored by Adidas or Adidas if you're American, and what would be great is obviously you could choose your sponsorship deal, like Nike come in for you, Adidas come in for you, flipping Umbro come in for you if you want, but you can choose what your sponsorship deal is, and it changes things. It changes your income, or it changes the fan base that you have, or whatever. It would be great to have that instead of just Adidas. I mean, I don't mind it how it is, and I feel as if it's really good that they've implemented that into FIFA 17 anyway, but just to add a little bit of authenticity is just to have the choice there, because obviously, you know, players aren't just allocated to sponsorship deals, I assume they choose them, so that would be quite cool to see in the journey as well. Point 8, relationships based on things that happen on the pitch and off the pitch with other players, not just flipping Gareth Walker. So if you got your strike partner and you're playing badly or he's playing badly, the relationship between you changes and it can cause a fallout, or alternatively, you're playing very well together and you build up a friendship or whatever, or you're particularly aggressive against a player in a game on the opposition team. They start atting you on Twitter, there's beef flying around left, right and centre, or relationships with your managers, and just a little bit more immersion, I guess, as it's quite a vague word to use, but just because obviously players do have different relationships with different players within their own team and within opposition teams as well. Back in the day you used to have not Michael Keane, that's the guy from my whole career mode, Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira used to hate each other. Stuff like that. That would be cool. Just having relationships with players in your own team that aren't Gareth Walker and players in the opposition teams based on maybe what you say in press conferences and how you act on the pitch as well. Point number 9, the ability to respond to messages on social media would be absolutely hilarious, if nothing else, because obviously you get some flack sometimes, you get some positive things too. So it would be great to be like flipping Kevin George and Kudu, that's his name, and Michy Batshuayi, who are always replying to fans on Twitter and stuff, and be like them and respond to critique or also thank people who are being nice to you. And then obviously what you say and what your responses are then go towards whether you're a hot-headed character or whether you're a cool character. If you're constantly atting people who are hating on you, then that goes towards being a hot-headed character, and if you're always thanking the people that are being nice to you, that goes towards your cool side. And the final thing, point 10, is potentially a different story for different teams, or a slightly modified story for different teams. If you've started your career mode with Chelsea or with Liverpool, maybe you're not as likely to get into the team straight away, but if you start with Hull, you know, who are maybe in desperate need of players. Maybe their storyline is slightly different. They've had an injury crisis like they have in real life, and they're in desperate need of players, whoever they are. They're promoting youth academy players like Josh Tymon and Ben Hinchcliffe, and then suddenly you're needed as well. Whereas maybe with Chelsea or whatever, you're going to go out on loan for a season or something like that. Just a slightly modified story depending on the team that you're at, instead of it being vaguely the same for each team that you choose. So that is basically it for the 10 points that I've been able to come up with, although I had a little bit of help with people on Twitter, actually, to be fair. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, my @ is @theofficialfng. Maybe you'll be involved in stuff like this or Q&As in the future, whatever, things like that, just a cheeky plug, whatever. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. If there's anything else that you want to see in the journey and I haven't included it in this video, drop it in the comment section, because I'd love to see your ideas as well down there in the comments. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel. It has been a pleasure though ranting at you guys today. If even some of these things get introduced to the journey for FIFA 18, I'll be a very happy man. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.
Yo, biddy bang, biddy boo. Man can't fuck with the Nottingham crew. Put 1, 2, 9 holes in the queue. Wanna ride on me, you better change that route. I'm a lyrical animal straight out of the zoo. Big mate, man, big like Big Zoo. 15 going OT on my own, done it all alone. I never been a ring true. KYE, the hardest YG, my G. Better know he kicks like Kung Fu. Try me, you must